Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, and today I am using my Counterfeit Kit Challenge and using the sketch from Scrap-A-Sketch for design team layout and the prompts for Mixed Media Mayhem, which are more than 3 layers or 3 or more layers. It is multiple pictures and, any medium of your choice. So I pulled out some scraps from my kit because aren't these great to use for gaming? Yup, that's why. I'm not going to use that blue one, that plaid blue one. I did use on a different layout, I believe. And so I am going to use this coordinations in this tealy color and cut it down to 2 by 11. And so then those strips don't go all the way across like in the sketch. That is the basis there of the sketch right now. I do want to use this back of that floral piece with that black and white to matte my photos, but not there yet. And then I'm going to use this piece with all of this fun geometrics on it as one of my layering pieces. So I'm going to do it in strips. And I thought about being above and below. I thought about being thicker and behind. It's actually going to end up on top of that blue, and I really like how that turns out. I also know that at a 4x4 picture of these, they are not going to be able to match with that black and white. So I am going to just crop it down to 3¼ inches. And that will give me enough room to still see the photos and everything that's going on in them with a small border. So that works out well. And I can use up all of that. And then there's just a little bit left as I trim off that little bit, which is perfect. I'll put it in my scraps and maybe I'll get to it for tomorrow. I don't know. So getting these on. This is pictures of my husband and our youngest when we're camping. It was pouring rain outside, and we are so spoiled when we camp because we have a TV and we bring the Nintendo Switch and we bring the Super Nintendo. So I think they're actually using the Switch at the moment. Neither needs Wi-Fi, which is perfect. We have that, and we have movies for when it pours and there's not really being outside because it's too miserable. So, and then I distress those, and then I'm looking at my third layer. I want to use some stenciling. So this is my next, like my choice of mixed media is the stenciling. I did think about using paste with it, but I'm actually just going to use a distress oxide. And I picked up a little piece of scrap black, and I am going to just try some of these out on the black to see what it looks like. That peacock feathers would have been really nice, but it's almost the same color as what I've got going on, so I didn't really want to use that one. I looked at the salty ocean, and that was pretty, but I didn't really want to do a monochromatic, so I'm going to actually use campfire, which is an orangey color, and I like how it's still pretty subtle because it's on that black, but it does add an extra layer, and it's fun, and it just adds a little bit more. And then those lines, I don't know if you can see it for the pattern paper that's going to go on top of that blue that I cut into the strips. There is some orange on there, so I thought it would tie that orange in. The other color I could have used that's on here in those lines is like a lime green, but I thought that would take a little bit more away from what's going on here. So there we go. So I'm going to layer this in the strips and I just need to use that itty bitty bit of the stencil, and in it goes. I don't want to use the really big squares. It would have given a different texture. I just wanted the little ones and a couple of those medium ones because it reminded me of the buttons on the controller. So not all the buttons, but kind of. That's why I initially picked out that hexagon one too, is it kind of reminded me of controller buttons, but I decided I liked the scale of this a little bit more, and it does tie into that coordinations paper a little bit because it does have a cross on it, but the lowered bits are like a diamond shape, so I thought those would play nicely off of each other too. And this one I should have done a little bit higher, but most of it's going to get covered up anyway, so you won't even notice. And so I got that on, and then I was like, is it going to matter? I don't know. We'll get this on, and if I have to rip it off to put a little more stenciling, I will. But here I'm going, yeah, it's not going to matter. Look, it not going to matter. So just up a little bit more. And then here's me deciding that the strip is going to go along the center, and they are going to get scrunched up a bit. So it gets a little bit more of a grungy look, because with that coordinations paper, it's already leaning towards the grungy kind of style. So I'm going to lean into that quite a bit more. So that needed glue instead, because the tape with that little bit wasn't quite sticking where I needed it to. And then I do have these remote controls that these controllers, holy moly, that I stamped out a while ago, like over a year ago. And so sometimes when I'm stamping, I stamp extra just in case I want to use it in the whatever I'm doing again. So I do have a layout that has black and white controllers on it. That one actually embossed the controllers on the background, but I don't think I have that one up on my channel at all. But yeah. Anyways, that middle spot is going on. I have a bunch of these, is what I was saying, that I've already done up. 4 to be exact, I think. So, and then this one, a lot of it was going to get hidden anyway, so I just cut in half and it goes there. And then trying to decide what to do on here. Nothing's getting covered on that top corner. These are where the stars are in the sketch. So I'm using the controllers. Holy moly. They are kind of remote, but not the way that I'm trying to say. The controllers are taking spot of those stars. And then I want some of the other kind of controller, because this is the old style, but we have both kinds of controllers. We have a lot of video gaming consoles, actually, but yeah. Nintendo is the one I can play. Everything else, not so much. So this is in that campfire again, and it is going to be a little more subtle on the video screen than it is in real life, but that's okay. I'm shaking it around to dry it a little bit. My heat gun is on the floor underneath something, and I didn't want to unbury it. Why? I don't know why, because it fell down there and I haven't picked it up yet. So I'm going to fussy get the rest of these out. I'm not going to make you watch that. And they're going to get tucked here, there, and everywhere. I think I did 4 more of those. And then I am going to stamp a little bit right here where this one, I was like, I do want something there, but it's going to lose so much of it. So I'm just going to stamp and then decide if I like that. And it does give a little bit of a hint of it up there, but it's not huge. And then I do decide to stamp on this middle one too, but I don't like it as much. And so I just cover it up with the black one that I fussy cut, but that's okay. So back on, and then this is me looking. And mostly because I wanted it to overlap on the photos a bit and not be just underneath. So that's why I decided to go with these ones. And overcross that blue obviously doesn't make as much sense just having it being stamped. But yeah, so I wanted those other layers. So now there is 3 layers, including the stenciling and the mats. Well, there's way more than 3 layers with the stenciling, the mats, and the controllers, and the ink. And then title. So the title is up over top of this photo in the sketch. I'm going to do mine beside just because I've got room for it there, and why not? It just works better for me. So I'm going to call it Game On. I think these are from, I'm not sure if these were Studio Calico for Hip Kit Club, but one of the two. And then I'm going to move them down just a touch. I think they were probably Hip Kit Club, but. And that's super cute. I'm going to look at the letters here for a second and try and see if I can get 2023 on here or a date or something, and I totally can't. But I can put on an exclamation mark, so I am going to use that there. And then I'm going to look at that for a bit more, but I'm going to jump ahead because you don't need to see me just stare at a sheet. And then I'm going to use the leftover campfire that's on here, and I'm going to grunge up this a little bit more. So I am going across the black with the color with my brush, and also on those scuffed up edges for the coordination paper. And I really like the way that looks. And then I just want a little bit more, so I'm going to do some splatters with the campfire as well. And I really have to hit this paintbrush really hard, which is kind of funny. So probably won't use this one to do splatters again, but the splatters I like, they worked well. Yeah, but it is what it is. And then a quick little wipe up. I am going to wipe up my stamp and stuff too, but didn't make you watch that. There's a quick close up. And there will be a Mixed Media Mayhem playlist below. This is for Counterfeit Kit Challenge. It's also linked below, and Scrap a Sketch has 10% off prints, books, and stencils if you use my code Amanda10, and all of that is also linked below in my description. I really appreciate you being here today. If you liked my layout, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe. There's a couple other things that you might want to look at here. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a wonderful day.